p.m. every day on Diamond 88.7 FM Ilorin. Shining Supreme.
From the news desk of Diamond 88.7 FM Ilorin, this is news on the hour.
In the headlines this afternoon, the former Senate President Saraki Ahmed orders to face fresh trials over 2018 offer robbery. Federal government summons emergency meetings with airline operators over aviation fuel hike. Court issues arrest warrant against ex-minister Sadiya Farouk. INEC adjusts Osun governorship elections campaign timeline. Moving on to the foreign scene, 10 days ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon goes into effect. Moving on to the world of sport, the Tigers to know World Cup group opponents next week. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us for the news on the hour. Diamond 887 FM, Ilorin, Kwara State, Nigeria. I am Precious Afolabi D. We bring you details of the news after this short break. Please, we'll be right back.
Who be this person with the text me now? Oh, Bolan. Me I go quick check am. I go text you later.
That's what can happen if you take your eyes off the road. Texting or using your phone when driving is very dangerous for you and other road users. Keep yourself and other road users safe by staying off your phone when driving. We need you alive.
This message is reaching you from Diamond 88.7 FM, Ilorin.
Glad to know you're there and you're welcome back from that short break. Please do note that you can listen to us via website www.diamondfm.net or keep update via social media pages and download our app on Google Play Store, Diamond FM Ilorin. Now the news in detail. The former Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki and the former Kwara State Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed will on June 4, 2026 face a fresh 20-count charge bordering on culpable homicide, criminal conspiracy, and other offenses filed against them by the Kwara State government over the 2018 armed robbery incident. Also listed as defendants in the case before Justice Halima Sama of the Kwara State High Court, where Yusuf Abdul Wahab, former chief of staff to ex-governor Ahmed, and Alabi Olalekan, a former political aide. The long-awaited trial comes after the Court of Appeal upheld the convictions of the principal suspect, including Ayo Akimoso, who had confessed during the trial to being a hitman of Saraki's political dynasty. The prosecution alleged that the defendant conspired to sponsor and harmed individuals linked to the deadly April 2018 robbery in Offa, which resulted in multiple deaths and widespread public outrage. The federal government has appealed to domestic airlines to suspend plans to halt flight operations following the sharp rise in the price of jet A1 fuel. Aviation Minister Festus Keyamo also urged the carriers to reconsider any planned increase in airfares. This is as a further disclosure that an emergency stakeholders meeting had been convened to find a lasting solution. The move comes amidst growing concern over the threat by the airlines to suspend operation next week due to the rising cost of aviation fuel. He commended the resilience of airlines operators despite the challenging operating environment. Justice Duke Nwobuzie of the Federal Court Territory High Court has issued a warrant of arrest against a former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadiya Farouk, and a permanent secretary in the ministry, Bashir Noura Al-Khali. The court issues the arrest warrant over the failure to attend court for the arraignment on charge linking them to an alleged fraud involving 1.3 million and 746.6 million naira. Mrs. Farouk, who was in office from 2019 to 2023, supervised key social interventions programs, including the National Social Investment Program. Justice Jude issued the arrest warrant while ruling on an ex parte motion filed by the EFCC Prosecution Counsel, Rotimi Jacobs, SAN, after the two defendants failed to appear in court for their planned arraignment. The Independent National Electoral Commission's INEC has announced a subsequential judgment to the campaign timeline for the forthcoming Osun State governorship election, following a shift in the election date. In a statement, the National Commissioner and the Chairman Information and Voters Education Committee, Mohammed Kudu Aruna, said the change has affected the campaign deadlines for political parties. He said as a result of this adjustment, the last day for political parties' campaigns in the state is now midnight on Thursday, August 13, 2026, in line with Section 98(1) of the Electoral Act 2026, which provides that campaigns shall end 24 hours prior to election date. As the INEC reiterated its commitment to credible poll, assuring Nigerians of its resolve to deliver a transparent process. The Kwara North Caucus of All Progressives Congress APC in Kwara State has urged elective political office seekers from the areas to be more concerned about worsening insecurity in the region rather than the zoning of governorship seat to the region in 2027 general election. Speaking with journalists in Ilorin, the Kwara North APC caucus, led by Honorable Benjamin Ezekiel Yisa, said that despite desperate political leaders from the region had focused on governorship zoning, are less affected by the worsening insecurity in the region. Yisa, former Speaker of the Kwara State House of Assembly, also berated the Tuesday mega rally in Ilorin, organized by the governorship aspirants from the district. The caucus during the programs also declared their support for the re-elections of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Honorable Bashir Omolaja Bolariwa's governorship intention in 2027 general election. The people describes Bolariwa BOB as a politician with experience in both legislative and executive arms of government and an active participant in the political movement. Governor Ahmed Aliyu has expressed confidence that displaced residents in Sokoto State will soon return safely to their communities amid ongoing insecurity operations. Aliyu spoke while opening a state executive council meeting at the government house in Sokoto. He said renewed efforts to tackle banditry and related crimes were already yielding results, particularly in the 13 local government areas affected by the insecurity. He stressed that addressing the insecurity remains a top priority of his administrations, adding that effort will continue until displaced residents are able to return to their homes. The news is reaching you from Diamond 887 FM, Ilorin, Kwara State, Nigeria. We go on a break now. When we return, we'll bring you foreign and sport news. Please stay with us.
Follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Diamond 887 FM. Diamond FM, shining supreme.
Welcome back. You're still listening to the news on the hour, reaching you from Diamond 887 FM, Ilorin, Kwara State, Nigeria. Now we move to the foreign scene. In the foreign scene today, United States President Donald Trump announced a 10-day ceasefire in Lebanon that could pause hostilities in the country after a week of Israel attack and ground operations, and could boost attempts to extend the ceasefire between the Iran and the United States and Israel. The United States Department, whose chief Marco Rubio mandated the talk, has said that according to the agreement, Israel reserves the right to defend itself at any time against planned, imminent, or ongoing attack. Israel has not been fighting with Lebanon itself, but rather with the Iran-backed Hezbollah group inside the country, who were not formally part of the agreement. Moving on, several armed men robbed a bank in broad daylight in Naples, Italy, holding 25 people hostage before making their escape via a tunnel. Police surrounded a branch of the Credit Agox in the southern Italian city shortly after the robbery began around the midday. Local outlets reported that they negotiated with the robbers before the hostages could be released about 2 hours into the robbery. Naples regional police officials Michele De Barri said in a statement that nobody was seriously injured. Thanks to the swift response of the police, it disclosed that all hostages were freed without serious injuries. Now moving on to the world of sport. Nigeria's the Tigers will discover the group opponent for the 2026 FIBA Women Basketball Cup next Tuesday. The draw for the competitions will hold in Berlin, Germany. The 16 qualified teams will be decided to 4 groups based on their FIBA Women's World Cup ranking, as the Tigers are seeded in the pot 2 alongside China, Belgium and Spain. Reina Wakama, side part of the preparations for the tournament, started a training in United States of America on Tuesday. The African champions will face a WNBA team Los Angeles Spark Minnesota Lynx at the Indonesia Fever friendlies during the training tour. Moving on to the last lap of the world of sport, the National Sports Commission NSC has fixed November 27 to December 11, 2026 for the 24th National Sport Festival, taxed the Coal City Games in Enugu State. The Director General of the NSC, Honorable Bukola Olapade, announced that the date during the first meetings of the main organizing committee, MOC, will be held in Abuja. And according to the approved schedule, stated delegations are expected to arrive in November 26 and 2020, November 25 and November 26. The opening ceremony is slated for November 27, while the closing ceremony will take place on December 11. Olopade describes the timelines as sacrosanct, noting that the date were finalized following high-level consultations with the governor of Enugu State, Barrister Peter Mba. And with that, we have come to the end of the news on the hour. But before we go, here's the recap of the major highlights. Former Senate President Saraki Ahmed orders to face fresh trials over 2018 offer robbery. Federal government summons emergency meetings with airlines operators over aviation's fuel hike. Court issues arrest warrant against ex-minister Sadiya Farouk. INEC adjusts Osun governorship elections campaign timeline. And on the foreign scene, a 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon goes into effect. And moving on to the world of sport, the Tigers to know World Cup group's opponent next week. And do you know segment? Do you know segment on this day in 1979? Students across Nigeria began an indefinite boycott of lectures to protest increased fees. The protest was tagged Ali Must Go. If you don't know, now you know. For information and happenings around you, please contact Diamond FM Newsroom on this number 0916 062 7526. The news on the hour was edited by Abiodun Akinwumi and read to you by Precious Afolabi D. Many thanks for listening to your Shining Supreme station. Please do note that the Yoruba version of the news will be coming.